Hi everyone. I want to welcome you all to your casa here at Bella Entrepreneurs. Thank you for joining us once again. My name is Rocio Flores and I am the founder of Bella. Bella stands for Brillantes Emprendedoras Latinas de Los Angeles, also known as Bella Entrepreneurs. And the purpose here at Bella is to elevate the Latina entrepreneurial voice, specifically in the areas of the East LA, East Side area, South LA, and South Central, and to develop a community of support. And we're so happy, super excited to welcome Daisy from Capuyo Cafe. Welcome, Daisy.
Thank you. Hello,
Show her some love,
everyone.
everybody. Yay, Daisy. Thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to get to know you today, to learn a little bit about you and your journey. And so, if it's okay with you, I'll just get started right away on the questions.
Sounds good.
So, the first question is just to tell us a little bit about you. Who is Daisy? And also, what is Capullo Cafe?
Okay. I am Latina. I grew up in South Central LA, and Capuyo Cafe was started by me and my cousin Beatrice. And we honestly did not have any experience in the coffee industry before we opened up the coffee shop, but we did have entrepreneurial business experience. So we kind of teamed up and launched this to help other Latinas push their dreams forward. We wanted to create a space where people can network and exchange information and resources. And so here we are.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit, we'll get a little bit more into how you got started and all that with your business, but take us a little bit back to your childhood. Tell us about how it was growing up. What was it like for you growing up?
So I lived in a not so safe neighborhood, so it was very scary growing up. I was, right there in the middle of the riots. So I had a very overly protective family, and so we didn't really go out. We didn't do much. Just went to school and work, and home. And so it wasn't until we moved to West Covina that I was kind of my eyes opened up to what the rest of the world was like, that I wasn't, that the rest of the world wasn't living in a war zone like we were. And so it was very different. My teenage years, I kind of came out of my shell. I was finally able to have friends that I could go over to their houses, and my parents would feel safe that I would be over there, and so safety was always in the back of our heads, where we
Mhm.
were not yeah, we weren't really safe growing up. So now later in our years, we were like, okay, well, a lot of Latino families went through that kind of trauma in living in a neighborhood that's not safe, not having resources, not having any help through, either government or just community spaces there. And so we were like, okay, well, let's change that, and that's when we opened up Capuyo Cafe. But growing up, I would say that I always had that entrepreneurial spirit in me. I was always coming up with new ways of how can I provide service and get paid for it, or how can I do something that I love and get paid for it. So I was a seamstress for a little bit. I, did a lot of artsy stuff, but I was also a notary public. So I always been, self-employed, always looking for ways to, come up with income on my own terms. Really, that's what it was about. And so yeah.
So you you touched a little bit on that, but what else, what inspired you to start Cafe and how did you get started with it?
So one day, my cousin Beatrice came to me and said, "Let's open up a coffee shop next door." So let me back up a little bit. I was an insurance agent for her. She owns a couple Allstate offices, one Boyle Heights, one near USC. And the space next to us was an existing coffee shop called Primera Taza. I don't know if many of you are familiar with it. Primera Taza was there for 8 years. It was owned for 8 years by Juan Romero. And then it was taken over by a couple of other people and owned for about 3 years by them. But then they moved out and the space was open. So Beatrice says, it's available. Nobody's taking it. And the landlord had asked her, do you know of anybody? And she's like, yeah, we want it. And I'm like looking at her like, shh, we have no experience in it. But she's like, we can do it. We can do it. If other people can do it, we can do it. Why not? So she says, it's your project. It's your baby. You do whatever you want with it. I'll give you total creative freedom. And so I had to come up with a logo. I had to come up with a name. I had to come up with a menu, the design inside, everything. We had to gut the whole space out and rebuild it and give it a fresh new look. I always tell people when they come in, they're like, wow, it looks completely different, and I'm like, it just needed a woman's touch. That's all it was, you know. But it was a great journey. So it was her. It was Beatrice, my cousin, who believed in me, who said, we can do this together. I'll back you up. But she just pushed me forward and just was like, just do it. There's no excuses, nothing holding you back. You just go for it. And so I did. And not a lot of people get that opportunity. And I know that, like I live it every day where I'm like, nobody's in my position and nobody's this blessed where they can just realize their dreams with,
Yeah.
without any fear of like, so it's been great. It's been
I
amazing.
love that. Women uplifting women. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
way. I love that.
yeah.
And I personally have been to Capuyo, and Daisy is one of my favorite spots. I would visit you almost every day. I'd work out of Capuyo. I enjoy the drinks and the albondiga soup and all the wonderful things that you have there. So it's definitely a space that you've provided for other women, Latinas, but the whole community to come in and really feel supported and loved and safe and just be able to enjoy all the really good food that you offer. So having said that, can you elaborate a little bit more on like what is the purpose and mission of your business aside from obviously, making money, that's one of the reasons why
Right, of course.
folks are in business, but speak to the mission and purpose a little bit more if you can.
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you are aware that there's a lot of gentrification issues happening in Boyle Heights, and they have been for quite a few years. So we were wanting to be very aware of what was happening in Boyle Heights and what the community needed and wanted, because what they need and want are two very different things sometimes. So we wanted to listen and make sure that we were fulfilling that part in the community. So we knew that we didn't want an outsider to come and take over the space. And we said, okay, we have this opportunity for us to take over. What are we going to do with it? So we said, okay, we want other Latinas to come here so we can, exchange resources. This can be the place for them to start getting either inspiration or information or just meeting other people that can help them build their business and build their goals up, And then we realized we were excluding others when we said, oh, it's for women. Oh, it's for Latinas. So we kind of expanded on that and said, you know what? It's not just for women. It's not just for Latinas. It's for every entrepreneurial person who needs that community, who needs the network of people, who needs the encouragement and support. So we've changed our mission to all entrepreneurs, to help them and to help them help each other. You know what I mean? I loved whenever I would go in the coffee shop and I would see two people who didn't know each other and I'd be like, hey, did you know that you guys are neighbors? Or did you know that you guys, have this in common? And so then they connect, and it's like, that's what coffee shops are all about. It's not just about the food, the great food and drinks. It's about bringing people together, bringing the community together. We've become, we're known now as the living room of Boyle Heights, because that's where everybody comes to congregate and have meetings and have lunch dates. And, this is where you, como se dice, convivir, you come to convivir together. So, so yeah, that is our mission, to help other entrepreneurs accomplish their dreams and help each other.
I love that. Definitely a space for connection and community. And you feel that coming in, just walking into your space. It's so clear. That's the energy that you feel just Just
Exactly. Yeah.
bursting out of your cafe. Definitely, I agree. And actually, can you speak a little bit to, I know, is there a history behind like your logo and like the actual name?
There is.
Love to hear
So
that.
Capuyo is what my dad used to call me when I was little. Well, he still calls me that now, actually. So that's the nickname my dad gave me. But it comes from the song from Sonora Dinamita, the Capullo and Surillo song. And I used to sing that when I was little, not knowing what the lyrics were about. But and so it just stuck. So he called me Capullo. So when we were coming up with the coffee shop name, we knew that it was part of our family. We're doing it as a family. It's a family business. So we said, okay, it has to be something that means something to us.
Mhm.
And so Beatrice was like, well, it's yours. It's got to be your name. It's got to be you. So that's how Capullo came about. But it means, Capullo, the real word spelled with a double L, means like a cocoon, like a butterfly cocoon or a rosebud, something that hasn't yet blossomed, or
Mhm.
flourished.
Mhm.
And so it ties in also with the coffee and how when you do a pour over, you have to let the coffee bloom. And then it ties in with our mission and helping other entrepreneurs flourish and bloom in their businesses. So it all kind of came around together. So it was a perfect name. And yeah, everybody's like, what does that mean?
I love that. So fitting, so fitting. It all comes together
It
just
all comes
beautifully.
together.
So tell us a little bit, if you can, about some of the struggles or the challenges you faced, either as you were kind of getting started or also some of those that you've recently faced that you feel comfortable sharing with us.
Yes. So there's quite a few. As many business owners know, it's never ending. You're always faced with challenges, obstacles that you got to overcome. And I would say at the beginning, it was imposter syndrome. I had no idea what I was doing, and I felt like people were going to know that I had no idea what I was doing. And I got over it. I realized, well, this is mine. I can do whatever I want with it. So, I don't have to follow anybody else's rules. I don't have to follow anybody else's recipes. So I got over that and just owned my thoughts, my mind, my ideas,
Mhm.
and I just went with them. Um, and then it became a challenge to not want to do everything myself. I was working at the shop every day from open to close. I was doing everything. And I was just working over exhausting myself. And I realized, okay, that's not the way to do it. So I advise business owners, it's okay to delegate. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, I trust them. They can do that. I'm going to do the things that no one else can do, the things that really matter, that are focused on the big picture.
Mhm.
And so that was my goal for this year, was to not be at the shop every day. And so it was hard to step away, but as a business owner, you have to. There are times where you have to let go in order to move forward. So letting go was a challenge. And then of course, COVID, there's always so many challenges with COVID. Um, with with the changes that have occurred with just the economy as a whole, I think we share the same struggles. We're just trying to make payroll, trying to make rent.
Mhm.
But the solution for that is, again, asking for help, look for grants. The chamber really helped us out with our grant, and there's help out there. There's other ways of keeping yourself afloat in these hard times. But you also have to be innovative. You have to come up with new ways of creating that income. And for us, it was adding merchandise, adding online orders. Now that things are opening up, we're going to be having events again. I don't know if you remember our art shows. We used to have art shows and live music shows. It was so much fun, and we miss that, and we want to bring that back. And let's see what other challenges. I would have to say also, trusting yourself. That was a challenge at first as well. Trusting that I knew what was best for my business. There was times where I would do things because others I told me how to do, they were like, "Oh, we have to do it this way."
Mm,
And then I ended up like it was disastrous. So I had to like just trust my instinct and be like, "No, I'm only going to go with my gut and do it the way that I feel is right for me and my business."
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So just that was a challenge, is always like, oh, I have to take into account everybody's opinion, but I can only do what works for me.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. No, yeah, I think there's some general common maybe practices that are, standard, but a lot of the times it just depends like what fits. Everybody's business is so different. And you want to take a little bit of what you're learning but apply it in the way that makes sense for you. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you have for Latinas that are listening right now and thinking, I'm getting started on my business, or I want to start a business? What advice would you give those rising Latina entrepreneurs?
Research. Talk to as many people as possible. Do as much research as you can. Depending on the business. For example, for ours, because it was a coffee shop, I took as many classes as I could, but I did a lot of hands-on as well. So it's different for every business. I know that, but just learn as much as you can. And even once you've opened up your business, don't stop learning. You got to keep educating yourself. You got to, keep moving forward. Another advice I would give would be, um, let's see, network. Network with people, visit other people who have done the business that you're doing, if you can do internships, you gain a lot of experience doing that. um, what else? Just believe in yourself. Don't undervalue yourself. That's the biggest one, is like, know that you are worth that price. A lot of at the beginning, our prices were lower because I was like, oh, well, no one's going to want to pay more than that. And I'm like,
Mm,
no, it's good coffee. I need to value it at what it's worth, not what I think people want to pay for it, but I have to charge what's it's worth. And that's how you have to approach your business, is, you're giving them something that's a product that's a good value. Why are you charging a 7-Eleven price? Like, don't undervalue yourself. Always just, and if they don't want to pay it, that's fine. Then it's not for them,
mm,
because I've had people come in and say $3 for a cup of coffee. Why would I pay that if I can pay $1 at 7-Eleven? And I would say, okay, well, this isn't for you.
mhm,
That
mhm.
that's for you. This isn't for you, and that's okay. You're not for everybody.
Yeah.
So don't get down when somebody says, "Oh, I don't like your product," or "I don't like your business." So I don't like, then don't come to me. That's okay to let those people go.
Yeah.
I feel like we're always trying to please the
Mm,
customer. No, the customer is not always right,
mhm.
because sometimes that customer doesn't belong in your store or in your space. And know that. Be okay with that. Don't beat yourself up that, oh my God, that guy didn't like my coffee. And it's like, it's okay, because he likes 7-Eleven coffee. So you can go there. It's okay.
Yeah.
So just believe in yourself, believe in your product, believe in your worth, and don't sway from that. Don't let others tell you how much you're worth or how much your product is worth. Don't. You set that. You set those standards, and you set that expectation for yourself. Yeah.
I love that. Such wise words. And I think it all comes from, a lot of experience that you've had, but also just a heartfelt message. I appreciate you sharing genuinely and authentically, what you've experienced and what advice or guidance you have for others, because it's really important for those to learn and to just have that reassurance, right? Because I think a lot of it is that self doubt.
It's
I
doubt.
hear
Yeah.
that time and time again, and it's hard to get past that, right? But I think the more you hear the positive messaging, the more you're surrounded by people that believe in you or provide that encouragement. I think the easier it'll get eventually to kind of get yourself picked up off the ground and just kind of make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
don't be afraid to cut the naysayers out, like you will always have people who are either jealous or for whatever reason they have their, negative feelings towards what you're doing. It's okay. You don't need to include those people as part of your entrepreneurial journey,
Yeah.
just allow the positives to come along.
So true. So true. I agree, Daisy. Well, as we close our time together, is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we end the interview today?
Just hey, you can do it. If you have any questions, if you need anything, you can always contact me. I'm always a source of connecting you to the community. So yeah, don't be afraid to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Daisy. You're unbelievable. I know your story has inspired so many and will continue to. You definitely
Yeah.
inspire me. So
Yay.
be sure to support Daisy and her cafe. Follow her at Capuyo Cafe on Instagram. We're going to make sure to have the handle and the website so you all have access to that. And thank you all for your continued support of Latina entrepreneurs everywhere. Please stay connected with us. And just remember to shop and support Latina business. So thank you so much, familia.
Thank
Suerte.
you.
See you all.